Some unfortunate news surrounding Texas Tech men's basketball as senior forward Devan Cambridge will miss the remainder of the season due to a knee injury. In today's video, we'll discuss Grant McCasland's comments on the forward missing the remainder of the season and some potential replacement options for Texas Tech in the rotation as they move forward and Big 12 play looms large. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button and notification bell to stay in the know on everything Texas Tech men's basketball on the hardwood and off of it all year long right here on the most engaging Texas Tech community on YouTube in the Back to 12 podcast channel. Now, before we even get into this, I want to see a lot of DCs down in the comments below to show some love for Devan Cambridge. This is just seriously unfortunate, and we're going to talk about how important he has been to Texas Tech and his success, but that takes a back seat in terms of just having DC healthy, right? Just for the man himself, this is his 5th year in college basketball. It was projected to be his last due to eligibility. We'll talk about how that may now be impacted, but overall, just my heart goes out, and I'm sure yours does too, to DC having to sit the remainder of the season on the bench and really just hopefully help his brothers get better on the hardwood with his leadership. But if you feel for DC right now and just want to show him some love, let him know by simply commenting DC down below. All right, let's talk about this injury for Devan Cambridge as he was in his first season at Texas Tech, started his career at Auburn, then transferred to Arizona State, and then transferred in here with Warren Washington, a guy that he played with as a Sun Devil just last season. He was really starting to get it going right now. If we're being honest, he was averaging about 10.5 points per game, 4.5 rebounds. And you could argue for this Texas Tech team, he was either the most important or second most important player on this roster for Texas Tech. It's either him or Joe Toussaint, right? His impact as the small ball 5 was felt tremendously. And they were just getting started, were the Red Raiders, with this lineup. And this lineup had a couple of different variations, but the key and consistent guy in this rotation for Texas Tech when it came to the small ball lineup was Devan Cambridge at the 5 spot. He was 6'6", uber athletic, played a little bit bigger than he actually was, probably played closer to 6'8", 6'9", and he allowed you to go small and have as many shooters as you could possibly put on the floor at any given time. Now, this totally changes things in terms of what Texas Tech can do in that small ball lineup. And we'll mention here in a little bit 3 guys that I think you could see a lot more of for the Red Raiders moving forward in a potential small ball scenario. Now, 2 of them really aren't, fitting the description of a small ball 5, but they could also help Texas Tech just have a plethora of shooters around them, right? But I think if we're trying to find the positives here for Devan Cambridge, it would probably be this. He could come back if he wanted to in terms of eligibility, applying for a medical hardship from the Big 12. So technically, he could come back next year. That's not at the forefront of his mind. Obviously, I think coming back and really focusing on his rehab, making sure that his body gets right is more important than that. But that could be a positive right there for the Red Raiders moving forward in the sense of maybe you get Devan Cambridge back next year, but right now, obviously, his health is the utmost importance. All right, let's hear from the head man himself. This is what head coach Grant McCasland had to say about the injury. And I'm not trying to be down in this video, but this sucks, man. Simple and plain, this injury sucks because I mentioned it already. He's arguably the most important player on your roster. He's definitely the most versatile. There's no doubt about that in terms of his impact on both sides of the floor. It will be felt drastically. So this just overall sucks for the Red Raiders, but more so just Devan, who was really starting to play some of the best basketball of his college career. It just absolutely sucks. And this is what Grant McCasland, head coach of the Texas Tech Red Raiders, had to say. You can find this quote over on the Texas Tech men's basketball website. Head coach McCasland said Devan has been a tremendous person and teammate since he arrived. It's a devastating injury for him and our program. He is still going to make a significant impact on our team this year through his leadership. I'm extremely confident that he will come back even stronger from this injury and is going to have a bright future. Again, man, this just sucks. It sucks because, most importantly, it sucks for Devan. Playing the best basketball of his career, was averaging close to 11-5, as I mentioned earlier. But more importantly, he was really finding his groove in terms of his versatility. I don't think he has been used in his college career the way that Grant McCasland was using him and getting the most out of him. Legitimately, he was shooting better than he'd ever had. He was having an impact on the defensive end more than he ever had. He was playing better in the pick and roll than he ever had in college. And now this happened. It absolutely sucks, man. It just really, really sucks. Again, type DC down in the comments below if you want to show Devan Cambridge some love in terms of, man, we're feeling for it in terms of just how much this sucks. I can't say it enough, but you got to move forward, right? This is college basketball. This is how things work just in athletics in general. And rightly or wrongly, you got to talk about some guys that could potentially step up for him, right? First and foremost, let's talk about Devan Williams. He's a guy that I've been super high on. If you've watched the channel, and I know a lot of you guys have, as we inch closer to 9,000 subs, about 40 away. Really appreciate y'all. Hopefully we can get to 9,000 before the calendar turns to 2024. But I've talked about Devan Williams quite a bit here on this channel. I think he can be a guy that can go in and be your small ball five. Now, obviously not to the impact that Devan Cambridge has, because Devan Williams just isn't as athletic as Devan Cambridge. But I do think you can do it for small stretches. And the reason being is this: the sheer size that Devan Williams comes in with, right? 6'5", 6'6", 225, 230, in that range. You'd have to bring another guy in terms of the rebounding aspect of it, helping him on the boards. But I do think you can have a lineup out there, and I'm very curious to see if we see it moving forward in non-con of Joe Toussaint, Pop Isaacs, Chance McMillan. Then you have to have Kerwin Walton on the floor with the way he's been shooting recently. Damn near 50% from three now on the year. And then you have Devan at the five. I'd be really interested to see what that looks like for at least a little bit, right? And if it doesn't work out, all right, you gave it a shot in non-con, and you can maybe use it sparingly throughout Big 12 play. But I'd be really interested to see that. The next guy has got to be Kyron Lindsey, right? And for those asking, his red shirt's done. How I understand it is this: he's played one game. College basketball is not like college football. In college football, you get 4 games to play and keep your red shirt intact. College basketball, not like that. One and done is how I understand it. And Kyron Lindsey played against Omaha. His red shirt has been pulled. I would expect to see Lindsey playing more moving forward for Texas Tech, especially on that second unit. And his minutes increase now with Devan Cambridge gone. Okay, so he's a guy that I'm interested to see what he looks like with that other small ball lineup plethora of guys that you've got, right? We mentioned it: Pop, Joe, Chance, and Kerwin. You've got other guys out there as well that you can plug and play. I would be interested to see what Lindsey looks like as that center, because he's not going to have the same impact in terms of drawing guys away from the paint, because he can't shoot the three like Cambridge could. But he can back out, be in that mid-range, 15 to 17 in his range. But Kyron is a good pick and roll player, and I'm interested to see what he looks like with the small ball lineup moving forward. Another guy, Robert Jennings. I think a lot of people forget he had an injury during the summer. So, and I think it was Chris Level that mentioned it on the broadcast, and it's a really good point by Level. He said this is more like October for him, not December. Because of that injury, he's lagging behind a little bit. So you're going to see a little bit more of Robert Jennings because of this injury now, but also he's starting to get his feet under him, right? So you think about this, he's going to be a guy that comes in there. He's 6'7", big-bodied guy. He's obviously not going to stretch it out like Devan Cambridge could, but he's going to be a viable option off the bench as a big for stretches for Texas Tech in that 5 spot, and really help on the boards and in the pick and roll. So those are the 3 guys that I'm interested to see how much more they're used. I think you're going to see a lot more Lindsey and Jennings moving forward now that, well, Lindsey doesn't have the red shirt. And then you've got Jennings really coming back and really starting to hit his stride now that he's got his legs back and under him. And then do you see Darion Williams play the 5 position at all with Kerwin at the 4? And then you have those two guys collapse. And then you try and get the ball out in transition as much as possible to get as many easy buckets as you possibly can if you're the Red Raiders. But overall, it just sucks, man. Losing a guy like Devan Cambridge, I mentioned it a couple times already in the video. I think I could make the argument he is either the most important or the second most important player on your roster, and now he's done for the year with a knee injury. Just absolutely sucks for DC, man. Absolutely sucks. I'm RC Maxfield reminding you one more time, if you want the latest breaking news and rumors when it comes to Texas Tech men's basketball, whether that's on the hardwood or off of it, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button to stay in the know right here on the most engaging Texas Tech community on YouTube in the Back to 12 podcast channel.